we've recorded this twice now. We're going to try again for a third time with a different app. For whatever reason, the app is designed to cut the video down to 3 minute or 300 megabyte chunks. But for whatever reason, after a while, like halfway through, it stops recording my audio. So I don't know if the phone just can't handle it or what. We have a better phone that we're gonna be working from now on. Right now, I'm using the Pixel 4 XL. I don't understand why it's having problems, but yeah, it's struggling a little bit there. I have plenty of storage space left over, like half of it. So anyway, we are driving while Uber Black in a white Tesla. So instead of looking at this screen, we're going to look over at, as you can see, I was working on this on Lyft's website. We're going to go back here. We're going to pull all the way down and start from here. So Lyft now has upfront pay. Upfront pay is here. I wish the brightness wouldn't change because it throws me off. Anyway, so I'm trying to keep it where the phone is out of the light. But anyway, October 31st, 2022. I find it interesting that this dropped on Halloween and on a holiday. Not only did it drop on a holiday, but I didn't get the notification for this until today, the 1st, in the afternoon, and I was driving in the morning and didn't see anything about this. So now we're going to go down, and it says upfront pay is here. So for example, if you've already seen what upfront pay looks like on Uber, then you know what upfront pay pretty much is. There's only like one pretty big difference that I'm seeing. But besides that, you've got the ride distance. If you can see down here in purple, you got the distance to the person that you're going to give a ride and the time it's going to take to get there. And you have the time that it's going to take them to their destination, as well as how many miles it's going to be, the rating of the person, and a picture, which I have to say, I don't think it's required for Lyft riders to have a picture, but I would say most riders do have one, and I appreciate that. I think that should be a requirement for both sides. It's a matter of safety and understanding who's going to be coming, with you. And then we have the amount that you're going to get paid for the ride, the upfront fare. So let's go down. Upfront pay will make earning simpler by removing the guesswork. Now you can see what you'll make and where you're going before you accept a ride. Knowing these details will help you decide if a ride is worth it. Yes and no. I mean, it's nice to know how much you're going to make up front, but I also don't want to be stuck to whatever that might be. If the ride is going to change, the fare should change. So we'll get more into that. Know what you earn. Now you see the fare up front before you accept. See the destination. Preview the estimated time, distance, and a map view of the full ride when you receive the request. Get paid for the pickup. Your fare includes getting to the pickup point, so you start earning on your way to the pickup to pick up your rider. The thing I'm worried about here, I think it's great, and I think both platforms should pay you, and this is a concern I had, should pay you for driving to a rider. I get tons of rides where it's 10, 14, 15, 17 minutes away to go pick someone up, especially around the Six Flags area. And I'm not getting anything for that, or at least I wasn't. And that's a concern for me because, yeah, I'm driving in a Tesla, but it doesn't mean that I all of a sudden want to waste fuel. Like that doesn't even cross my mind. I want to get there in the most fuel efficient way possible, and especially with gas prices surging, I think for anybody driving a gas vehicle, this should be a big deal, especially if you're driving on a higher end platform and you're driving a vehicle that might be 8 cylinders, or you're driving through a city because there's no freeways and there's a lot of stop and start traffic, and you're putting tons of wear on your transmission, your engine, your car. So let's go ahead and move on to the next. So here we can see a clear example of what it's going to look like when you open it up in your phone. You'll get So we saw the bottom portion already, but on the map you'll see the purple, which shows the ride to the person's location where you're going to pick them up, and then you've got the pink where you're going to be taking them to their destination. And then we're going to go down. How is this different? Since you see what you're earning up front, your earnings are no longer based on your rate card after the ride is complete. Now pay is based on a number of factors. These can include the estimated time and distance to complete the ride, your travel to the pickup point, and the volume of ride requests in the area. So the volume of ride requests in the area sounds like bonus to me. Bonus zones. So that's going to be your bonus, and that will show separately. I don't think it shows it on that picture, no, because there's no bonus there. I'll show you in a second. Then it says, these can include the estimated time and distance to complete the ride. So based off of the route it's saying that you should take to get to the person's place and how much time it should take on that route based off of traffic factors, I'm assuming, but I don't know. You should make it in a certain time and it should be a certain distance. And then also picking up the person. But what concerns me about this is when you're going to pick up a person, right? You're going to pick up someone. Is that an additional amount of money that you're getting? Or instead, is that detracting some money from the actual regular fare in order to fund you for traveling to the rider? That concerns me. And I'm sure that's going to concern a lot of people. I mean, if I don't see an increased amount of money, then the change isn't good for me. If anything, it's a detriment to me. That's saying that I'm literally getting paid less in my regular fare for giving rides just so that I can get some money transferred over to picking people up. And I honestly like the current system where it shows you the fare, it shows you how much you're getting paid in bonus, and it shows you how, if you got a tip, how much you're getting paid in tip. So changing that doesn't sound cool. But let's continue. With upfront pay, average earnings are expected to stay the same in your region, but they may differ based on specific rides. And we see an asterisk here. So let's go down and find out what that means, because that's kind of important and it shows up multiple times, right? For illustrative purposes only, results may vary based on earnings data, may vary based on earnings data from drivers utilizing upfront pay in the Sacramento, California, and Miami area from 7/26/21 to 4/15/22. Drivers using Lyft earned by the job, not by the hour. The hourly earnings communicated are no guarantee of future performance and not indicative of any specific driver's earnings. So they give you an assumption up above saying that you shouldn't, by their estimation, you shouldn't experience any changes. But ask yourself, are you in Detroit, Miami? Are you in Sacramento, California? Because I'm not. And I wouldn't want my fares being based off of the examples of people in a different market than myself. I want to know the demographic of individuals that this was tested by so that I can make a fair rate. That's just my analysis of that whole thing. So let's go back to where we were. We covered the asterisk. And it says, in general, short rides pay a bit more and long distance rides pay a bit less than before. So that's interesting. In general, short rides pay a bit more and long distance rides pay a bit less than before. That I don't like, because I tend to focus on longer rides. So that's going to be detrimental for me. I might have to change my driving strategy because I tend to prefer long rides on top of bonuses. But of course, now that it's a dollar amount in bonuses, that's not really necessarily beneficial. By seeing all the ride details in advance, you can decide what works for you. One of the best strategies is to stay busy earning by accepting all the ride requests you receive. Our data shows that drivers with upfront pay who accept almost all their ride requests typically had higher hourly earnings than those who were more selective. Now, wait a second. Is this a sample size from new drivers that don't understand their area very well and where they should position themselves to make more money? Is it just in general? Did everybody in the Detroit area and everybody in the Sacramento area, did it count all the people there? Because you have to think about that. So, for example, for me, I know the best areas that I want to be in to make the most amount of money that I can. I know what areas I don't want to travel out of the way to take someone 30 minutes to an hour out of the way where I won't be in a bonus zone. So I wouldn't want to accept that ride. So I don't think that they have enough evidence to say that those who pick their rides, I don't think they have a big enough sample size from multiple areas, because this is saying there's only 2 places that they tested according to the asterisk. 2 places that they tested. That means it may not affect your driving area. Just something, food for thought. Food for thought. It's not like you can really do anything, but it's just good to know this information up front and to analyze it, because it might change your strategy. It might change which services you decide to drive with. So, by seeing all the ride details in advance, let's see. By seeing all the ride details in advance, you can decide what works for you. One of the best strategies is to stay busy earning by accepting all the ride requests you receive. Our data shows that drivers with upfront pay who accept almost all their ride requests typically had higher hourly earnings than those who were more selective. And that's another key thing. See how it talks about hourly earnings, but that doesn't cover all driving situations. For example, for me, I mostly just drove in the afternoon. Now, recently, I've been testing a new strategy where I drive in the mornings and pick up all of the bonuses that come with driving in the morning. And then I go to my regular job. I get 8 hours in, which resets my timer. And then I can drive in the afternoon after I take care of stuff at home, get cleaned up, and everything like that. Right? So people have strategies that work well for them or work with their schedule. Now, this may not be beneficial to the way that you do your schedule. You might have to completely rework it in order to get it to work. And hourly earnings this isn't a job. This is a side hustle. And as a side hustle, I wouldn't measure this based off of my hourly earnings. At some points in my side hustle, I'm going to make a lot more money. And sometimes in my side hustle, I'm not going to make very much money, or I might have to sign out and go do something else because it's just not worth my time. So, something to think about. How does upfront pay work? When you get a ride request, you'll see all the details up front, including the amount you'll earn, the pickup and drop-off locations, the estimated time and distance to complete the ride, a map view of the full ride. If you accept the ride, you'll earn the amount shown. Your fare includes getting to the pickup point, so you start earning on your way to pick up your rider. Once the ride is complete, you'll be paid the earning you saw up front. You'll also receive any tips, tolls, and multi-ride bonuses you earned. All right, that's a little bit to unpack. So the first one, the amount you earn. So you'll get the information. We already went through that by looking at the picture, the amount you earn, the pickup and drop-off locations, the estimated time and distance, and we get to see the full map so we can say, you know what, I don't want to end up in that area. I'm not going to accept this ride. If you accept the ride, you'll earn the amount shown. So we know that the amount shown is pretty much what you're going to get. And once the ride is complete, you'll be paid the earnings you saw up front. That's what it's already said. Your faring. So we know the pieces that make up your fare, which is pickup point, distance. So you start, pickup. If you accept the ride, you'll earn the amount shown. So, but your fare includes the pickup point, the ride itself, and then any bonuses according to their new breakdown. And then once the ride's complete, you'll be paid the earnings you saw up front. And let's see. So FAQ, you know what? I don't know why I feel like they changed this. Yeah, I think there's less information here than there was originally. No, never mind. Ignore that. am I still paid based on the card rate? So no, your earnings are no longer based on your rate card after each ride is complete. Instead, your pay is based on a number of factors. These can include the estimated time and distance to complete the ride, your travel to the pickup point, and the volume of ride requests in the area, which will determine your bonus. Basically, we expect that we expect the average earnings level in your area will stay the same. Among drivers who already have upfront pay and data show among among drivers who already have upfront pay, our data shows their earnings have been stable. Again, asterisk. That's not going to get guaranteed for everybody. And I actually found something else interesting that I didn't notice the last time I read this. We expect the average earnings level in your area will stay the same. Average or earnings level, which means it can disrupt the people that are not driving average that may be making way more, but it also can benefit those that have been making way less. It can benefit them, but it can be a detriment to the people that have been making way more because of their own strategies with the previous existing system. So, and the asterisk, meaning no guarantee of any of the data that they came up with. It's like, what's the point? What happens if a rider changes the ride or it ends up being longer than expected? You'll always receive the earnings you were shown up front unless there's a significant change to the ride. In that case, we'll adjust your earnings after the ride is complete. You'll see the adjustment in your post-ride receipt. For example, if a rider adds a stop in-app or if the ride ends up being much longer than expected, we'll increase your earnings for that ride. This isn't common, and these adjustments only occur in about 3% of rides. Hold up. I get rides constantly where people add stops to go pick up their friends, or they need to go pick up something from a store constantly, and it's more than 3%. And besides that, I get I get individuals that change destination on me pretty regularly. So I would have to make sure. I mean, it says it'll do it by distance, but what's significant distance? How do we know how far significant distance is, right? That doesn't really tell us much of anything. So I'd say it's more common than 3%, but of course, off the small sample size that we're getting, of course, that's not going to be representative of like Lyft drivers, all Lyft drivers. This still sounds like it's in beta though, or still being fleshed out. And as they get more data, maybe they'll change some of this. Um, so in case your earnings ride is complete, you'll see adjustments in your post ride. So factors that don't significantly change ride won't be adjusted for. So if you end up going a couple of blocks or something away, we don't know what counts as significant. I like how they put it in bold up here, but they don't have it where you can actually see what the definition of significant is. Does it have to be miles? Does it have to take an hour outside of the normal time? We don't know. They just say a vague word significant. So the factors that don't significantly change the ride won't be adjusted for. These could include making a stop that wasn't added in app or a minor detour. It's like detours still cost me fuel, still cost me time. If a rider cancels before you get to the pickup point, the standard cancel policy applies. So at least the cancel policy is the same. But I mean, you can see the tiny adjustment here, the $2.37. But I guess that might be a regular ride. Ride earnings, it doesn't say. It looks like I'm used to the hamburger style where it tells you how much the fare was, and then after the fare, it tells you that you have a bonus, and if there's a tip, I think the tip goes in between. I like those cards. This new layout isn't terrible, but it's not as cool as the previous layout. This feels much more businessy. I mean, I guess it should. It's where you get paid, but still. How is upfront pay calculated? The upfront, and we already kind of went over this. The upfront earnings you see on the accept screen take into account a number of factors. These can include the estimated time and distance to complete the ride, your travel to the pickup point, and the volume of the ride requests in the area. If the ride has a bonus, it will be included in your upfront earnings. So, what I find interesting here, if the ride has a bonus, I'm curious, is bonus separate from the ride requests in the area? They state it separately. So something to consider. How can I maximize my earnings with upfront pay? One of the best strategies is to stay busy earning by accepting all the ride requests you receive. Our data shows that drivers with upfront pay who accept almost all their ride requests typically had higher hourly earnings than those who were more selective. Well, there's a couple of things to say about that. First off, do we get penalized for not accepting rides? I feel like I do. Sometimes I don't want a ride that's going to take me an hour away. Sometimes I don't want a ride that's going to take me to LAX, because being stuck in the airport's not fun, and you don't even have priority rides out of the airport like you do with Uber. So what's the point of getting a ride into to LAX and then having to get out of LAX and get out of the area so you don't end up getting sucked in the area? Because I've had rides all around the hotels around LAX, like back and forth to Enterprise and this to get cars and this and that and the other. And I'd rather be somewhere driving somebody from point A to point B, you know, driving somebody from their house to the beach, or something like that, right? To a restaurant. And being stuck in the traffic around LAX is just not cool. It's not fun. What's included in upfront pay? Oh wait, is there anything else I can cover there? Our data shows that drivers. So that's one. And then do you get punished for not accepting all the rides? And it sounds like a passive aggressive statement. Like this, our data shows that drivers with upfront pay who accept almost all their rides requests typically had higher hourly earnings than those who are more selective. Well, it depends on the people that are doing the selecting. Are they experienced? Do they know their environment? Do they know their roads? Do they know the timing for when traffic comes in? Accepting bad rides doesn't make you better fares. It just doesn't. And then how do you analyze who was selective and who wasn't? There's people that just don't accept a ride because they're not paying attention to their phone. It has nothing to do with them selecting the proper ride for them. So where is this information coming from? I think it's extremely likely it's just completely inaccurate. Um, what's included in upfront pay? If the ride has a bonus, it will be included in the upfront earnings you see on the accept screen. Tips, tolls, or multi-ride bonuses will be added to your earnings after the ride is complete and shown in the post-ride earnings summary. So as we can see here, you can see the included bonus, but I don't see any tips or anything else there. So I guess when you go and look at the other page like this, you should see the tips and stuff on that page later after the ride. So I think, is that everything? Upfront pay is okay. Is upfront pay available for all ride types? Upfront pay is available for all standard Lyft and delivery rides. Very soon, you'll see upfront pay with Lux, Black, and XL rides too. Upfront pay is not available for scheduled rides that you've pre-accepted. So I'm interested in how those pre-accepted rides, I mean, is that already an upfront like fare besides getting paid for driving to them? Maybe you don't get that, but that's interesting. So I drive Lux, and I pretty much only drive Lux, so it sounds like I won't benefit. I won't be able to really test this until they start implementing it. And very soon, does that mean a week, 2 weeks? I'm not sure. Maybe it means today. I hardly take regular Lyft rides, so I'm not sure. And then, is upfront pay available everywhere? Upfront pay is based on pickup location, so it may not be available everywhere you drive. We're currently testing it in select markets with plans to expand to more cities. So it may not even be in your area yet. I'm not sure if it's in mine, but they've tested up north from me. Can I switch back to the old experience? No, drivers cannot switch back to the old experience. But with upfront pay, you can see all the ride details in advance, so you can decide what works for you. Wait a second. So if I want to decide that the old pay system works best for me, I can't choose that. But, because I can see where my ride's going and I can see how much I'm going to get paid for the ride, then then everything's good. The other thing I want to say is it's a gold feature to be able to see where you're taking someone and how long it's going to take to pick them up, right? So if that's now a standard feature, what are they going to put in gold tier to replace upfront ride information? I think that's an important question to ask. Like, are you going to cut costs for something? Are you going to add pay? Because that's more important than most of the features that are available in all the tiers are pretty much useless to most people. That's just the honest truth. Maybe these are a little bit more useful than the ones on Uber, but so upfront pay makes earning simpler by eliminating the guesswork. We're committed to creating a better Lyft for you. So honestly, this is what I believe. When you make things more simple, you make it more easy to manipulate individuals, right? Where there's friction, where there's difficulty, where there's a learning curve, you can analyze what's best for you. But if the information's all hidden behind one price in front of you and you just see a big number, you may not realize how much time you're taking to make that fare, or the distance and the traffic that you might have to deal with. It's all that information's kind of being hidden from you. Then again, with Lyft, you had to get to gold in order to unlock where you were going in the first place. I like the breakdown previous of this, and I will see once it finally comes to Lux, and maybe in some cases when I do pick up a regular economy ride, what this is going to look like. But for those of you that have been using Uber, let me know, how has upfront fares been for you? Have you started taking shorter trips because longer trips aren't worth as much? Because I probably will have to do that. How has bonuses affected you? What vehicle are you driving? Are you at what level on your platform are you driving? And are you driving for Lyft or Uber? I do respond to all my comments, so please feel free to ask questions. I want to be able to discuss this more and gain information from those who are also driving. And I've recorded this now 3 times. I'm hoping that it recorded properly this time, because if it didn't, this phone makes me want to throw it through my windshield, but it's not my windshield, so I shouldn't throw it through this windshield. Yeah, I'm gonna keep looking into other things that I can discuss. There's a few cool things, like I don't know if you can see this phone mount. It's like having a third arm while I'm driving, because of course with the Tesla and the giant screen in the middle, and no real good stable spot besides the glass to put my phone, it's kind of frustrating. So this cup holder mount actually works really well, and I'll be putting in some of the products that I use in my car, because I tend to get pretty good tips and a lot of compliments, for my driving, for the vehicle, all kinds of stuff. Let's figure out what's next. See you guys in the next video.